Well, it started 37 years ago as a teacher. And I went into education because my background is education, coming from a mother and family members who are principals in Chicago, Illinois. They were, not now, but so I went into education and went back to school, got my degree, and here I am now.
First Children's Finance built the home 26 years ago as part of one of their initial programs. We built childcare homes across the metro, homes designed for family childcare that had a large yard and then a large room for family childcare. So the room was attached to the kitchen, so the family childcare provider could use the space for the family childcare, and then also connect at the kitchen where they could serve meals for the students, and then the rest of the home was for the provider to live in.
Phenomenal.
Amazing.
To wake up and come downstairs and enter into their own private entryway is just amazing. Not that, we don't have to travel. We don't have to dig through snow and all that stuff. So it's just, and the families just love it. It's open, it's bright, it's peaceful. I hear families saying, oh, it's so peaceful in here, So yeah, it's been, yeah. I believe it was really when I was working at the Blaisdell YMCA. There was an elderly lady crying because her grandchildren got kicked out the program. And I was working there. And I was in the middle of transitioning to start my childcare. And she's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. My grandchildren got kicked out the program. Their mom was incarcerated. So that was very difficult. And I comforted her and I said, you know what? I can watch them along with my children. And so, and me being in ministry, I went to, I was on the Shakopee ministry for Shakopee Penitentiary for Women. This is how I really knew. I went to minister there with a group of women. And this lady stood up and gave her testimony. And she said, I wish I wasn't in here because my mom is really struggling with my children. And she said, I miss my kids. And she said, will you pray for my children? My daughter's name is, she just said her name. And she said her son's name. And I said, can I speak for a minute? And they said yes. I said, I watch your kids. And she just fell to the floor. I said, I'm their child care provider. You don't have to worry about that. And it was just amazing. Now here's a woman, an elderly lady crying at the YMCA, needing child care. I was there to provide it, but then I went ministry a few months later in Shakopee Penitentiary for Women, and she gave her testimony, and I'm the child care provider sitting in there. Who would have thought? So that's when I made up my mind, I got to do more, to help people in child care, families. So that was the awakening. That's when I started in-home child care on Nicollet Avenue, South Minneapolis. And so it just started growing from there and growing from there. And I'm like, oh, I can do this. So here I am today, 37 years later.
Part of the agreement with the financing around the building of the childcare homes was after 25 years, the loans would be due or forgiven depending on the property. And then First Children's Finance would be free to either sell the property or to continue to run the childcare home. First Children's Finance Board decided to sell the Corcoran home, so we wanted to make sure this home found a new provider to take over to continue to provide care in the community. And that search led us to Phyllis and Bert Turner.
Getting financing in place was a little bit challenging, but with Amanda's phenomenal background in financing and getting loans and partnershiping with lenders and investors, that's how we got the financing.
However, it was more so that they did not want to give it to anybody but us.
Right.
And that was the beauty of it.
These homes were designed for family child care. They had a separate entrance for the family child care, sometimes separate driveways, drop-off points, large yards, again, for the kids to play in. And they were built with funding from the city of Minneapolis and then from First Children's Finance. And so for the past year, we've been working with Bert and Phyllis to get them into this child care home.
We ended up here because I met some phenomenal people, Linda and Joan and Benji. But I met Linda first. I applied for a grant and I received it. And then I applied for a loan and I received it. And then I started taking courses with Joan, some training. And she mentioned, Phyllis, you might be possibly interested in this house. They have a few houses available. And I was like, yeah, you know. And so I dug deeper. And so I got in touch. She gave me the contact information to Benji. I reached out, and here I am here today. It was a year process, but it worked. Yeah, so that's how we ended up.
And then we don't want to forget about Amanda.
Oh, Amanda. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we won't forget about Amanda, and it was just amazing how my wife created these relationships with First Children Finance employees, and they became friends. Mm-hmm. And the friendship turned into ownership.
It just does my heart joy, you know. And I know God called me to this for such a time as this. And I just have a heart of love for kids.